Today we're tackling one of the SAT's favorite grammar traps, the dangling modifier. These show up all the time on the reading and writing section, and they're tricky because at first glance, the sentences often sound fine, first and foremost. And second, oftentimes students have no idea what these questions are testing them on. So the first thing I want to talk about is how do you spot dangling modifier questions? When you see standard English conventions as the question type, and the answer choices are long, chunky phrases that start after a comma or an em dash, your radar should immediately go up. Dangling modifier alert. First and foremost, the phrase before the comma must directly describe the subject that comes immediately after. If it doesn't, you've got yourself a dangling modifier. So let's take a look at a quick example to get started. Before going on the field trip, a permission form must be signed by a parent or guardian. Sounds okay at first, right? But stop and ask, who's going on the trip? The permission form? No, it's the student. So how could I fix this so that we don't have a dangling modifier? Well, I could say, before going on the field trip, there's my modifier, each student, the noun, must have a permission form signed by a parent or guardian. So now the subject after the comma matches the logic here. And now let's take a look at an example through the lens of an official SAT question that's available from the College Board's question bank. Entomologists Yash Sondhi and Samuel Fabian have tried to explain why moths fly erratically around light sources at night. Knowing that flying insects keep their backs pointed towards sunlight during the day, comma. Okay, so the key modifier here is that knowing that flying insects keep their backs pointed towards sunlight. So then we want to ask ourselves, who does this? Do moths know that? No. Does a theory know that? No. Only the researchers know that. So in this case, the correct answer is A. Once again, the key takeaway is we always want to check whether the noun after the comma is the one doing the action in the modifier. Let's take a look at a second example. Known as Earth's living skin, biocrusts are thin layers of soil held together by surface-dwelling microorganisms such as fungi, lichens, and cyanobacteria. Fortifying soil in arid ecosystems against erosion, comma, and then we have our blank. Okay, so taking a look at our answer choices here, once again, we have these bulky options that all start with different subjects. And in this case, the modifier is fortifying soil in arid ecosystems against erosion. So then we're going to ask ourselves, who or what is doing the fortifying? Is it a study? No. Is it an estimate? Definitely not. But the crusts themselves are doing the fortifying. So in this particular example, C is going to be the best answer. Okay, so hopefully we can see now, after having the knowledge of what dangling modifiers are, how to recognize these question types, they're actually not particularly challenging in the grand scheme of the SAT reading and writing section. But let's just take a look at one more example to solidify things. A pioneer in the field of taphonomy, and then what do we notice here? A parenthetical phrase that we're often crossing out to turn the noise down of sentences, unless we deem that information to be critical to answer the question. In this case, for now, I'm going to go ahead and cross it out. A pioneer in the field of taphonomy, blank, may be just as prevalent in the fossil record as those of thick-shelled organisms. Okay, so the modifier is a pioneer in the field of taphonomy. So who is the pioneer? Is it the fossils? No. An analysis? No. It? Definitely not. Only Anna Berensmeyer is the pioneer. So in this case, the correct answer is going to be B. If the modifier describes a person, make sure the name of that person comes immediately after the comma. So as a final wrap up to drive things home, first find your modifier It's likely the opening phrase before the comma. Ask yourself who is performing that action, who or what is performing that action. And then step 3 is to make sure that the subject comes immediately after the comma. If it doesn't, that's a trap. And remember, on the SAT, dangling modifier wrong answers almost always put the wrong noun right after the comma. Theories, studies, analyses, fossils, and one of the examples that we took a look at today, anything except the actual subject. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave those below and get started integrating this strategy using our digital platform.